I'm kind of killing a little bit of time here for the moment, so I'm waiting for one other individual that we need at the bench here to bring some documents forward for us. So sorry to keep you waiting, but it is good to see everybody here this evening. And as a matter that I'll go ahead and address at this point while we're kind of in a holding pattern is that we have several people here representing Leadership Russellville that is involved with a program through the Chamber of Commerce that develop leaders for the city of Russellville and provide them access to a lot of involvement with different businesses, the local government, among other things. So Stephanie Bierman, if you will stand, she is the leader of that group, and the rest of you, if you all now would stand and be recognized, please. Would you like to say anything at this time, Stephanie? All right. Thank you. Didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but that's what happens. All right. We have some other people with us here this evening. We have a lot of visitors. There are students from, I believe, the History and Political Science Department at Arkansas Tech that are students associated with Dr. Mike Rogers and some of his classes, and he is working, and they are a part of a cooperative effort between our HR department and the city in efforts to glean some information that will be helpful to them in their classes as they're going through Arkansas Tech. So if all of you who are here visiting in that regard this evening would please stand so we could recognize you.
And where's Dr. Rogers, Your Honor? Dr. Rogers in here?
No, he is not this evening. He is left it in their capable hands, I am sure.
My experience with Dr. Rogers is that he would not tolerate the failure to show up. I can't imagine he's not here.
You're right. Personal accountability, that's what that is.
Of course, he was younger then, so.
Yeah. All right, at this time, I'm going to go ahead and take a chance that our next individual is going to show up quickly. So I would ask everybody to rise at this time, and Pastor Blaine Rogers will lead us in our invocation. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
If you'd please pray with me. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to come together tonight to conduct our own affairs for our city. We thank you for those that are represented and the councilmen that are here. And I just pray, Lord, your blessings upon us and upon your city. We ask, Lord, that you would give supernatural wisdom, not just to accomplish the things that we think is best, but the things that would further promote your desires for us, for your people here, and ultimately for your government, not ours. We give you praise and glory for directing our lives and speaking. And so now, Lord, I just pray that we would listen. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. I would entertain a motion regarding the first item of business.
Motion to approve the minutes of last month, Your Honor.
Second.
All right. All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. I don't have a particular report at this time, but we do have someone in our midst, Chief Humphrey, that has a presentation to make as part of the mayor's report for this evening. So, Chief, come forward.
Mayor, Council, tonight I want to represent one of our individuals at the Police Department for his outstanding service. He's the 2013 Officer of the Year. The 2013 Officer of the Year award this year is a little bit different than previous years. Normally, supervisors don't receive that award. It's not someone of rank, but it can be. And this individual has proven himself to be an outstanding supervisor for our department. And contrary to what most people might think, that being a police officer isn't always fun. And our jobs aren't what they seem to be on some of the TV shows. And there's a lot of stress involved with being a police officer, a lot of ups and downs, and a lot of stuff that a normal officer on the street has to put up with. It's nice when you have a supervisor that takes care of you, so that you can take care of the people on the for the community. This year's recipient is Lieutenant David Ewing. David, will you come up here, please? And I'm going to read a short letter, and the comments in the letter were made by the people that work for him and with him. And they speak it best. They say what I can't say, and I'm honored to repeat what they think about their supervisor. I recently read an article in a magazine, in Chiefs magazine, that said the number one source for a police officer is not dealing with things on the street, but it's their immediate supervisor. And I thought that was not true, but I kind of took an internal poll, and sometimes it is. And being a police officer, I can say that my immediate supervisor sometimes caused me stress. And but this is not what this guy does, and I want to read what his shift has wrote about him. I wish to congratulate you on receiving the Russellville Police Department's Officer of the Year award. This award is given to an officer who has distinguished himself through either an accumulation of exceptional contributions or a single incident, whose actions clearly place the individual above others of equal rank or grade. While serving as C-Shift Watch Commander, you have displayed your continued commitment to inspire your subordinates in achieving their personal best. Your subordinates give you the best account of your attributes. They have said, he cares about us professionally and personally. He keeps us motivated, and he helps us achieve our personal best. He believes we are a team and supports the team effort. He is a mentor for us and ensures we are properly trained and takes care of us so we can do our jobs. David, you continually display your dedication in serving the community as well as those you work with each day. You are greatly respected by everyone throughout the police department, and it is my pleasure to present you with the 2013 Officer of the Year Award.
Chief, I think that was an excellent choice in that regard. I appreciate it. David, we appreciate everything that you do every day on the job, what you do with your family, the kinds of service that they have seen to give, not just you as an individual, but your entire family, and you're to be commended, all of you. It's been exceptional, and we thank you sincerely. At this time, I would ask Danny Love, he is Cruz and Associates, to come forward, if he would, please. And Ms. Christy Graham.
Mayor Eaton, council members, community members, it is my honor to be back home in Polk County tonight representing Cruz and Associates and Arkansas Business to present a City of Distinction Award to the City of Russellville, an award that was officially presented at the Arkansas Municipal League Winter Conference a couple of weeks ago up in Rogers. And being the presenting sponsor for this award and working with Arkansas Business, we wanted to come and make a personal presentation to the mayor and the city tonight and to congratulate you. Each of you have on your desk there the brochure. Russellville is covered on page 30. This City of Distinction Award to Russellville, Russellville was the winner in the tourism category for cities above $20,000. And basically the award has to go with the development and the promotion that Russellville has done with Lake Dardanelle, specifically with the fishing situation. Lake Dardanelle in Russellville has become a mecca for some of the largest bass tournaments in the nation. The dedication and the foresight that has gone into this, lots of hard hours, and I know you can probably address everything that's gone into that, but those are the types of things that caught the attention of the committee that looked at all the applications that came in, and this was certainly something that I think is truly meritorious of the city of Russellville, and it's my honor to present this award tonight. I will, if you want to come down, Mayor, I'll present this to you. Thank you.
This is the award that was received, that belongs to Christy and everything that she has done to accomplish this for our city through the advertising and promotion commission that we have. It's a great honor. You have done a fantastic job. We appreciate you very much. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, somebody kind of put a bug in my ear that this is another special day for you, if I'm not mistaken, not like a birthday or something. So I don't know about singing happy birthday, but I think you probably have some other responsibilities that you would like to sneak away to at this time. But I just want to say thank you very much. Keep up the good work. We really appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Somewhere I think it says that I'm supposed to do what's known as the State of the City address at this time. So I think I'm going to step to the other podium to do this and do it standing up. Thank you. This is something that is not just about what we do, it's to share with the public where I believe that we are as a city and to ensure that you know, council, citizens, and everybody in our community where our city stands and the relationship that we have and share with many. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the City Council chambers of Russellville, a great place to live, work, play, and raise a family. This is the 2014 State of the City address. For the past 3 years, we have seen a slowly improving economy, one that continues to make progress, and there are a number of positives that are poised to begin as a result of that progress being made. Russellville is continuing to get stronger each year, and we can truly say that we are the natural choice in the natural state. We are blessed with a diverse economy here, one not tied to a specific major industry. We have had no major setbacks or mass layoffs, as some cities in the other parts of Arkansas have had to weather. Part of the reason for that is the quality of the workforce in the River Valley area, recognized by developers and investors alike. The contributors to various business periodicals share this, a brimming confidence that the modest recovery we are in will continue. Consumers are more optimistic, and that gives credence to improving confidence. A very large percentage of Arkansas leaders cite that consumer confidence is the part that makes the strongest impact on economic conditions. Fortunately, we are located on beautiful Lake Dardanelle, and you heard about the award that was given this evening as part of that. We are at the intersection of Scenic Highway 7 and Interstate 40, a position favorable to a convention center that can be the best between Little Rock and Fort Smith, and things are moving favorably with that project and positively with the long-anticipated intermodal facility also. In support of that, we have reached out with mayors and other community leaders up the Arkansas River in partnership to promote the deepening of the Arkansas River Channel to 12 feet, which will be an enhancement for commerce and development. With the outdoor attraction of Lake Dardanelle, the hillsides and natural assets of our landscape, we must continue to capitalize on these attributes to improve our quality of life. Other evidence of that confidence and growth can be identified by a summary of some 170 new industrial jobs in the past year at some 10 local industries, and a robust plant expansion of over $100 million at ConAgra Foods, and an addition of 80 well-paying jobs coming this year with that expansion. Also, part of this progress can be seen from the expansion and improvements in Russellville's medical facilities, particularly the new Millard Henry Primary Care Physician Clinic, part of the St. Mary's Regional Medical Facility, under construction throughout 2013 and set to open this March the 2nd. It is the largest and a premier such facility between Little Rock and Fort Smith and represents a strong commitment by their multi-million-dollar investment that they have made. Also, their staff enhancements include the addition of 2 OB/GYN doctors, 4 family practitioners, 1 cardiologist, and 3 hospitalists this past year. Likewise, there has been approximately $2 million reinvested from the private sector in our historic downtown over the past 12 to 16 months, including these establishments: Lavish, Gallery 307, Kitchen Crazy, Fat Daddy's, Funky Junkie, Penny University Coffee, Sudi's, Rendezvous, Serendipity, and Limley House Art Guild. Other property purchases have recently been made that will result in second-floor residential space and more street-level shopping. These enhancements are the result of individual interests and the confidence shown of Main Street Russellville, Russellville Historic District Commission, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Downtown Master Steering Committee. Presenters at various conferences, and from what I read, note that the cities that are going to be the most successful in the future are the ones that offer a good quality of life for their residents, and research points to that. From the public sector perspective, parking improvements in the historic downtown area are being reviewed by a joint Pope County and City of Russellville committee for a proposed enhancement project. The Streetscape Enhancement Project on Main was done to help redefine downtown as a destination place, making things more handicapped accessible, pedestrian friendly, with traffic calming features and street beautification included. All these things are contributing to improved quality of life in Russellville. Issues related to stormwater management or drainage have seen improvement with the Waco Detention Basin that will double as a neighborhood park on the west side of the city, while plans are currently underway for work on Prairie Creek in the eastern part of the city through a partnership with the Corps of Engineers. And as we move purposely forward as a city, we must remember that we should build this city for people. Build this city for people, ensuring that it is built to enhance prosperity and bring jobs here. Our challenge in doing that, yours and mine, is dealing with resistance to change. There is an old proverb that goes like this: change is not merely necessary to life, it is life. One really great positive that we have here in Russellville, and it is not available to all Arkansans, is this. It is Arkansas Tech University, ATU, Arkansas Tech, whatever terminology you use. Arkansas Tech contributes significantly to the economy of Russellville, and it continues to grow in student enrollment and infrastructure. My hat is off to all those at Tech who have contributed to the university's success and its collaborative spirit with the city. A specific example of that spirit was the recent joint city-university proposal for a new veterans home. Additionally, Russellville is blessed with a strong municipal workforce, always ready to meet the challenges of a high-volume work environment. I want to share some of the individual department accomplishments of this past year. The municipal airport completed the purchase of 10-plus acres at the west end of the runway within the runway protection zone, and ended a history of attempts to convert the property for uses that were incompatible with the airport, and most of the price of that is recoverable through federal aviation grants. The runway received seal coating and remarking, and construction of a new self-service aviation gas fueling system was begun and is very near completion at this time. And new approach lighting and end identifier light systems, along with an update of the master plan, will be done in 2014. During 2013, Community Development issued 1,215 permits, netting $176,200 in fees for the city. And they conducted 1,730 inspections throughout the year. Construction projects in the city for this year included 98 residential, 120 commercial, and 106 in other categories for a total estimated cost of construction of $78,200,000. Also, there were 112 new business permits issued this year. And with its code enforcement arm, 465 violation letters were issued for action relating to such things as tall grass and weeds, inoperative motor vehicles, unsightly or unsanitary conditions at buildings. 22 dilapidated structures were closed out, and 8 other citations were written in all. All that improved the appearance of our city. Community development will add 1 employee at mid-year to improve our capability to maintain city property and facilities. Also, upgrades to city codes and regulations will be completed that will aid with the proper plan reviews and inspection performance as a commitment to ensure structures are maintained in a safe and sanitary condition for the benefit of all citizens. The Animal Control Department during 2013 initiated a number of free adoption days and reduced the euthanasia rate by 11% this past year. With oversight by Animal Control, the first urban deer hunt was completed last year with the successful harvesting of 51 deer, and 48 were harvested this year to help reduce vehicle accidents and nuisance complaints within the city. There are plans to eliminate a requirement for city pet licensing in 2014 and construction of an additional building for quarantining and increased housing capacity at the animal shelter. Human Resources organized a wellness committee for the city to emphasize healthy lifestyle, nutrition, preventive care, and raise employee awareness by participation in the city's Wellness Works program. It also supports community development and the city's clean and green activities to help remove litter from our city. Initiation of stronger student partnerships coordinated by Human Resources with Arkansas Tech has been helpful and will continue to be strengthened in 2014 through collaboration with the History and Political Science Department. And you saw some of the students who are here with us this evening. The Information Technology Department placed new personal computers in the various departments this year to maintain the latest technology and keep pace with the replacement cycle program that they have in place. Additionally, iPads were deployed for use with the fire and police departments for special program access and improved portability. A research plan in coordination with Arkansas Tech called Bring Your Own Device was initiated to help determine trends in usage, issues involved, and performance-enhancing capabilities from the study as it relates to information technology. It will aid the city in developing our future policies. The department, IT, kept over a 90% monthly service level for the city's computers throughout the year while maintaining 10 web-based programs in operation within the city. Crime in Russellville is at its all-time low, with last year's rate of 3.4 violent offenses per 1,000 population. During 2013, Russellville police officers responded to 19,000 calls for service, and officers themselves initiated 8,150 more calls. To ensure that the level of safety and professionalism of service provided by that department is always increased, some 8,600 hours of in-service training, including firearms, defensive tactics, DWI and narcotics investigation, rules of criminal procedures, bias-based profiling, underage drinking prevention, and child passenger safety was attended by those department members. As a follow-on to that last training I mentioned, the department provided and installed over 60 free child safety seats to the community's citizens by its 8 certified officers. As further community outreach, the department conducted a Citizens Police Academy and 2 youth academies for children ages 10 through 15. Both emergency service personnel and fire personnel were included in those academies, and they are the most requested service projects that the city conducts. The police department implemented a 5-year replacement vehicle plan in 2013 and plans to initiate a software vehicle maintenance management system to lower costs and better manage vehicle maintenance for its fleet of vehicles going forward this year. An increase in service provided to victims of crimes in coordination with the prosecuting attorney's office is also planned. During 2013, the fire department responded to over 1,900 fire, rescue, and service calls, and they conducted some 23,900 hours of training related to firefighting, rescue, emergency medical services, and hazardous materials, and inspected and tested over 1,000 fire hydrants across the city. The department is currently working on a downtown fire district assessment. Property for the new home of the Central Fire Station was purchased in preparation of construction of the replacement facility for an aging and inadequate structure. Also, some 400 fire prevention property inspections were made by this team. And a strategic plan implementing revisions of the 2013 ISO grading schedule will focus on fire prevention programs within the city. The Recreation and Parks Department was also busy during 2013, opening the Wildlife Observation Trail and the Illinois Bio Trail, part of Pleasant View Park. An Arkansas Highway and Transportation grant for recreational trails was received to construct Orbit Lane Trail. In cooperation with Public Works, Parks completed a pedestrian bridge and improved support facilities at Hickey Park and hosted numerous ball tournaments throughout the year. The department will update the park master plan this year and continue to upgrade park amenities and improve accessibility. The extension trail to Phoenix Avenue will also be developed. A lighting project for the soccer complex started, and construction of the anticipated Community Aquatic Center will begin also. The Public Works Department was involved in various maintenance functions, in-house projects, and construction projects. In the area of maintenance, there were some 2,407 work orders opened and completed during the year. Over 145,000 linear feet, or 27.5 miles, of streams and ditches were cleaned and cleared through the year. 1,794 hours was spent mowing and edging around the city, and 610 hours was used to sweep the streets of the city. Additionally, there were 440 vehicle services completed for city vehicles by that department. The in-house project included such items as culvert replacement, drainage structure repairs and jetting, box culvert construction, and road shoulder work on Skyline Drive, Shepherd Drive, Harold Drive, Waterworks Road, and Hobnob Road. They added left turn signals at El Paso and Parkway and Phoenix and Parkway, and also a video signaling at Joplin and Skyline Drive. Construction projects completed in 2013 included J.L. Shin drainage improvements in the southeast part of the city, Reasoner Avenue and Arkansas Avenue signal project, North Greenwich extension and bridge, South Glenwood realignment, and Old Post Road. Those started in 2013, which will be completed this year, include Waco drainage detention, H Street and Parker Road, North El Paso Avenue, and the Phoenix and Railroad overpass projects, which total just over $13,281,000. Those last three mentioned are part of what we call the complete street design that reflect consideration of all modes of transportation, pedestrian, bike, and vehicle. Citicorp, the city's water and wastewater system, is making continual progress on system improvements for our citizens, including millions of dollars of pipeline improvements to prevent inflow and infiltration. And currently there is a $13 million wastewater plant upgrade that was funded by a bond issue made possible by the city of Russellville. All of these efforts are addressing the consent administrative order that have been issued and providing a much improved system for the city. You should know that none of these accomplishments would have occurred without the efforts of a strong municipal workforce, competent and dedicated department heads and other leaders, the tireless volunteers who serve on numerous boards and commissions, and the support of this city council. Thanks sincerely to each of you. Regarding the City of Russellville's annual financial report for 2013, the city general fund beginning balance was $2,009,299. Total receipts for the year included $14,910,974, and total expenditures were $12,836,064, leaving a balance at the end of the year of $4,084,208. The street fund beginning balance was $17,578,540. Total receipts included $9,224,399, with total expenditures of $11,383,425, leaving a balance at the end of the year of $15,419,515. Of all the special funds within the city, the combined beginning balance was $10,615,874. Total receipts were $3,736,206, with total expenditures of $2,737,450, leaving a balance of $11,614,629. Another very positive for 2013 was that the city's sales tax revenue was up 6% over the previous year, another indicator of consumer confidence that I mentioned earlier in this report. 2014 will provide new opportunities to strengthen this community, and as we focus on becoming a community of livable neighborhoods that meet present needs without compromising future generations' ability to meet the needs of their public, we will have become better shepherds, not just hired hands. And As I start to close, I would just like to leave you with a quote from that great track legend, Jesse Owens. He said, "Find the good. Find the good. It's all around you. Find it, showcase it, and you'll start believing it." You here and who are receiving the telecast of this, our citizens, enable the city to move forward with enhancements to infrastructure and improve city services by passing an extension of the 1-cent sales tax this past year. A small price to pay for a big return on investing in improved streets, drainage, a new central fire station, community aquatic center, recreation and parks enhancements and improvements, City Corp wastewater upgrades, and citywide economic development projects. I particularly want to praise those who made a valuable extra effort, both financially and in time invested, to make the sales tax campaign an extremely good success for our city. God bless the United States of America, the state of Arkansas, and the city of Russellville. That concludes my report. We do have a report at this time for our financial director, Mr. McCoy.
Thank you, Mayor. Finance report for January. General fund revenues received $947,892. That's 10.4% below our year-to-date projections, but the sales tax is okay. It was more of a problem with the franchise fees didn't get in. Sales tax receipts were $711,575. Franchise fees were only $119,374. Total expenditures for the month of January is $1,388,740, 31% above our projections, but we have 6 annual payments that have to be made in January that cover the whole year for workers' comp, our legal fees, property insurance, and vehicle insurance. Our year-to-date, we $448,848 less than received. Prepaid annual expenses were $366,449. Street fund operation receipts were $173,029, 6.4% above their projections. Sales tax receipts were $539,857 and were 8.3% below the actual projection. Our new half-cent sales tax brought in $44,135. Street fund expenditures operations were $183,087, 19% above projections. Sales tax expenditures were $297,765 on the Waco, North Phoenix, and East 8th Street projects. There was no capital spent in the street department. Economic development revenues were $89,945. Of that, $77,122 was sales tax, $543.73 for the farm rental, and $3,318 in interest. There were no expenditures in economic development. Capital assets revenues were $244 for interest. Expenditures were $14,990. That was on the police department and airport. Our current balance is $846,952, and the building fund is $349,242 of that balance.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. McCoy?
I do, yes, sir. On the general fund, what did you say was the reason for the shortfall there?
Our franchise fees were lower
what does that mean specifically?
Well, like Entergy, I didn't receive their check until February. I usually get it the 1st of January.
Okay. So that's not, that discrepancy, that difference in revenue and expenditure is not remarkable?
No, it's
Okay.
not.
And
Not
what
the
about
first month.
What about the expenditures that are 31.8% above year-to-date? What was the reason for that?
Because of the expenses I have on workers' comp, legal fees, property insurance, and vehicle insurance, all has to be paid the first of the year for the whole year.
And are those recurring
No.
yearly?
No.
It's once a year.
That's what I mean, every year does it happen that
Yes.
way? So, on this graph you have appended to the report, is that reflected in the general fund?
Which graph are we looking at?
Well, I'm asking you. General fund revenues without franchise fees, is that the graph that represents the top
Correct.
general fund here?
Yes.
Okay.
And if you look at the next page, you'll see the franchise fees versus what we normally receive.
All right. Thank you.
You bet. Anybody else?
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. McCoy.
Thank
Mr. Day will give a quick update on the airport report.
Good
Thank you,
evening,
Bobby.
Mayor,
Thank you, Bobby.
City Councilman. Now, they showed me everything except how to open it. Yeah, okay, I can go from there. Okay, good evening, Mayor, City Councilman, citizens. I'm happy to have a chance to talk to you about my favorite subject, the airport. And okay, what I'm going to talk to you about tonight is what we did in 2013 and what we're still doing, what we're going to be doing in 2014, and what we're going to be doing in the future, what we plan to do in the future. Bear with me here a minute. There we go. Okay, well, we'll go with this. In 2013, we did acquire the 10-acre farm across from the end of the runway. You can see with this overhead, the end of the runway there, and see where that property lies with respect to the runway. So this alleviates. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Shows you where it lies with respect to the runway. It is within the runway protection zone, which makes the purchase eligible for FAA grants. And we paid $125,000 for the property. After negotiations, the appraiser that we hired had determined its value to be $119,000. We will recover in state and federal grants, primarily federal grants, the $119,000 plus all the closing costs, appraisal fees, so on and so forth. The $6,000 gap, we're going to make a run at recovering because we know some of our neighbors have, by arguing or debating with the FAA about the money saved by going this route versus the condemnation route. And they've been successful at it. So we have a hope of getting complete reimbursement, but we're assured of reimbursement of all costs except that $6,000 gap. The federal project that we did, federal project that we did in 2013 was the runway seal coat and remarking. This is a view of runway 25, or the approach to the airport from the east side. And it's fairly close to what a pilot would see. Actually, this is what I saw standing on Tyler Road, so it's a little low for an approach. But you can see the difference in the darkness of the runway and the markings contrasted to the taxiway to the north of it there that really just doesn't show in the picture from being so faded. This is a preventive maintenance type project. We didn't create anything new. We sealed the cracks in the runway the previous year, and we come back and put the seal coat and remarking on this year, or not this year, 2013. And this is entirely paid for by the FAA and the state. The total project was budgeted $129,063. We came in at $120,723, or 6.5% under budget, and are close to closing out. Paperwork is the project is 100% physical complete, and we're still struggling with some paperwork with the contractor, general contractor, and hopefully we'll have it closed out shortly. The other project that we worked on last year and are near completion is the self-service aviation gasoline system. As you can see, it is delivered and in place. We expected to have it in operation last week, but we found a spot in the epoxy coating on the liner of the tank that hadn't cured properly. It was repaired Tuesday, and we'll be doing the startup on it next week and hope to have it in operation by next Friday. You folks appropriated $87,941 for this project. We got a $77,608 grant from the state, leaving the city to pay about $10,000 on this system, and it will come in on budget. Those are the 2013 activities. In 2014, we have three projects actually. One is glide slope indicator lights, and here you can see the ones. They don't show up very well in the overhead, but you can see the ones installed on runway 7, those 4 red lights. Those indicate to the pilot whether or not he is on the correct slope, glide slope to the runway. And actually, they are more needed on the other end than they are on this end, but this is what we have right now, and we'll be adding these to the other end to show you kind of a concept of what they look like. Whoops, I need to go back one. Back 2. There we go. Now, this would show something what they would look like to a pilot on the correct approach path. They transmit a red light and a white light, and if you're above the glide slope, you see white. If you're below, you see red, or below the trigger for each light. And if you're on the glide slope, you'll see 2 red and 2 white, as are shown here. Now, these, of course, are faked in, and if you saw 2 reds and 2 whites while you're standing on Tyler Road, you'd probably be in trouble. But this is the concept on which these work. The other approach lights will be runway end identifier lights on the west end. They will be flashing white lights at the end of the runway that help a pilot that's doing an instrument approach visually find the airport when he breaks out of the clouds. They will be shielded so they don't disturb the neighbors and don't disturb the people driving on Elmira there as they pass the end of the runway. The third project is a master plan update. The last master plan was completed in October of '98, and it was primarily focused on relocating the airport to a new location down closer to the river, and not very much on the present airport. I'm at the point where I'm beginning to think maybe I don't see the forest for the trees, and it's time for somebody, an outside expert, to come in and take a fresh look at the airport and what its condition is and where it needs to go, and make recommendations to us on how we can best use the federal money available over the, over the next years to keep our airport safe and keep making it safer and better. We do maintain a 5-year running capital improvement plan. I don't expect you to be able to read this document, but I just want to show you that it exists. This is a running 5-year capital improvement plan with the Federal Aviation Authority that programs how we intend to use the $150,000 that we have available to us each year without having to compete on priorities with other airports. And what we have planned in here at this time is for 2014, the 3 items I just discussed. We won't do anything in 2015 and bank that money, and then in 2016, we're hoping to extend the length of the pavement on the runway by another 400 feet. The most frequent, actually about the only complaint we have from the jet jockeys is, and one particular type of jet is that in the summertime when the runway's wet, the distance that they have to calculate for accelerate, for takeoff, decide to abort, and still be able to stop on pavement is limited, again, if the temperature is high and the pavement's wet, and they may have to take less fuel than they want. They've never been able not to take off and accomplish their mission, not have to make extra fuel stops. But it is a limitation, and it would also increase safety margin. And then we would bank the money for another year and then go for extending the taxiway that 400 feet to the end of the pavement, the new pavement. That's the end of our projects. I've got one more issue I want to bring to you that just tell you I'm going to be coming back and asking for something sometime. I'm not sure what yet, but we have 3 fuel trucks at the airport. They range in age from 25 years to 45 years. This one happens to be 36 years old. The mean time between failures is decreasing, and the significance of the failures is increasing, and the age of the airport staff is also increasing, and it's getting where it's stressing our ability to maintain these trucks. And we're rapidly approaching the time we're going to need to do something about it. Now, the new self-service station would allow us to go down to 1 truck, but sometime in the near future, we need to be thinking about maybe getting a refurbished product package tank on a much more recent truck chassis. So that's just a heads up. I'm going to be coming begging here sometime in the near future. That's all I have, gentlemen. Be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Day?
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Good job.
Appreciate that. At this time, I ask our Finance Committee Chairman if I might step ahead on a couple of items here. If the council will turn with me to the 2nd page in your agenda book. Relative to Planning Commission appointments, we do have 2 people with us here this evening who have been willing to come and share a view of their face among the council and the public here this evening, and we do appreciate that. At this time, I would like to recommend the appointment of Mr. Doug Skelton and Mr. Todd Meimerstorff to fill 2 vacancies on the Planning Commission. And I present that to the council for consideration at this time. Gentlemen, would you both please stand and be recognized?
Do we need a motion tonight, Your Honor, or do we wait until?
Motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to approve both individuals. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the appointment of Mr. Meimerstorff and Mr. Skelton to the Planning Commission. All in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate your willingness to serve. It is a challenge, and volunteers are extremely crucial to the city of Russellville. thank you for that service that you will perform. Thank you, Mr. Horton.
You're welcome.
At this time, we will revert back to the Finance Committee. Mr. Horton, Chairman of that committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a wintertime meeting last Tuesday. That meeting produced a list of items for the council's consideration. We have 5 appropriations, but I'd like to handle those one at a time tonight as opposed to in a group, which we normally do, if everybody agrees. Item A is from the street fund, an appropriation of $89,300. That is for our participation in the Bernard Way improvement that we agreed to do for ConAgra. We bring that in the form of a motion.
All those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Item B is $82,501. That is for the contract labor and engineering services we added 1/12 of in January. The Finance Committee recommended this for passage, but I think we should hear from the liaison from the Public Works Department first on that.
Mayor, as you and I have discussed, has the city explored the possibility of hiring a staff or a full-time engineer in place of a contract engineer? The reason why I ask, our current contract, we get about 760 hours of work per the contract a year, which is, I think, 60 hours a month. And a full-time employee would be 2,080 hours a year. And for the dollar amount difference, or have we explored what that would cost us and explored that possibility instead of for the 6th or 7th year having a contract engineer to perform these day-to-day duties?
We haven't addressed that, no.
To me, in the best interest of the city, I would think that needed to be explored before we automatically renew a $54,000 or $55,000 potential expense to the city or more for contract services that's 60 hours a month. That's just my opinion.
I hear it.
Do you want to change the motion on that? The Finance Committee's motion was to approve $82,500.
I would be willing to amend that to approve a short-term approval of it to allow the city and/or the Personnel Committee to explore the possibility of what it would take to hire someone and what it would cost, and then to make that determination.
This is before the entire council, so if anybody has any comment or discussion that they would like to add, feel free to jump in.
Mr. Tripp, you're suggesting that we don't pass the additional 11/12 of the original budget?
Yes, sir.
What are we going to do in the meantime?
And the reason why, once that is passed by the council, this type of professional service, there is no oversight by this body. Once you put that in the budget line item, it's free to spend. And I can't say that, in my opinion, that's in the best interest of the city. What I'm proposing is, if we think it would take 60 days to potentially explore that possibility, to add 2 more months' worth or 3 months. And if it's something that doesn't work out, we can go back and add the rest of it at the end of that time period.
Your Honor, I have a parliamentary inquiry. This item B was fully discussed and approved by the Finance Committee. So my question is, does an amendment to this, as a motion, does this need to be discussed by the Finance Committee, moved upon by the Finance Committee? I'm kind of lost with what we're doing here.
How can
Mr. Smith, would you care to?
This is a motion that's come from the committee to the body. It doesn't require a second, so it is before the body.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Tripp has, as any alderman would have, right to amend it. He does need a second for that amendment to be placed before the council to vote on, but it can either be amended, or if the council wants to refer it back to the finance committee for more debate, it can do that option as well.
Go ahead, Randy.
Mr. Seth Irwin, would you like to?
I just want to know what the proposition is for the interim. If we do 60 days or 90 days, then we don't have the we run the risk of not having the money to use for the operations that are necessary now. We don't know if 11/12 of this gets used in 60 days or 3/12 of it gets used in 60 days. I think we ought to. I don't see that it is responsible on a global sense to keep piecemealing it. I think we need to pass the 11/12 of the budget, and we can always revisit the issue of whether there ought to be a full-time employee or not. But we're just
Let me say something. I can assure you that all of this is not going to be spent in 1 month's time. Now, I have no objection to considering looking at hiring an additional employee if you think it would be more beneficial to the city or whatever than to do this on an as-needed basis. I'm not sure. But, I think the way it is working right now, we're getting a lot for our money on that. The time to develop a plan of how we would employ an engineer, go out and advertise for such after we determine what their expectations would be, and then do job interviews, etc., is not going to happen in 30 or 60 days. So my recommendation, my preference would be that you pass the budget. And if you're interested in this other step, then address that as a separate issue and move forward.
My question would be, if we do pass this in the full amount, would the council have the opportunity to come back and pull those funds back should we decide to hire a full-time engineer? And should we hire a full-time engineer before the end of the year?
Certainly. But that would allow us to continue the operations without possibly having to turn around and come back in 60 days or whatever.
I think that's the way I'd prefer to see it done. I think the mayor and Mr. Oakes both understand our concerns, but we tried to do this in December, and we said, no, let's work something out. And then we tried it in January, and we put in a 12th, and we haven't really made any legitimate progress in my eyes. I'm not sure how we put 60 days worth of money in there, and then we come back again and do it. And like Mr. Harris said, we can change our budget anytime we want to. So I'm totally willing to go along with whatever the council decides. I'm just stating my opinion.
Don't take me wrong, Mayor. I'm not opposed to putting this money in there. However, I don't want to put it in there and us forget about or not explore that possibility, because I think it's something that needs to happen. I'm not saying it'll finish out and we'll hire, we'll make that change, but I think we deserve, the city deserves, the residents deserve to at least explore that possibility.
Well,
Mr. Chairman.
the proposal to hire someone would be given consideration to the personnel committee and let
We're having
them.
an improper discussion, Your Honor. There's evidently there's an amendment that no one has seconded.
I hadn't made a motion.
So you've made the motion.
No, I didn't make a motion.
I don't think he made it yet.
Well, then we're discussing.
We're discussing still B, as I understand it.
Then
I move that we accept B
That motion's been made.
as recommended by the finance committee.
Yeah, which I think we've got that on the table. Mr. Tripp, do you want to make a motion, or?
If the mayor is saying that we can explore that possibility, I'm okay with not making a motion.
I think that's well enough. Does anybody else has an amended motion they want to make?
Without, yeah, without a second, the discussion ends. All those in favor of the original motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Item C is $42,000 for the crosswalk repair. The Finance Committee recommended that, but we're also expecting discussion and debate on that item.
Mr. Horton, you know, I would like to ask the question
Yes, sir.
that I've been asked numerous times each day over the past several weeks. Why are we paying $42,000 to repair crosswalks that the entire project is not even complete yet?
That was the number that it was estimated to take that it would take to pull out the ones that were wrong.
I understand that, but
Let me
change
try
order, in
to
other
say,
words.
yeah, let me try to say something about that. The project was attempted to be done the way it was designed. And then subsequent to the time that the project got underway, there was a change made to that plan, which included putting water for irrigation systems in the bulb outs that were going to be there. That changed the original plan. The work that was done, the way it was planned, was completed. But as a result of the change and the removal of the concrete layer that was under there, that did not withstand the traffic and the weight, causing some sinking down each of those crosswalks. Now, in order, as a result of that, to do what I understand is going to need to be done to solidify what was removed to provide for that irrigation, there have been proposed changes and ways to do that. And in order to do that, which was not in the scope of the original job, that's where these additional costs come from. Now, we can say, well, they really ought not to be done, or they might not ought to be done, or doggone it, or anything else we want to say. The problem that we have is some areas in those crosswalks that are sinking and failing. And we have had this discussion down the road some time back about we would all like to get that accomplished to where we won't have to deal with that sort of thing in the future. Now, if there's issues related to why that is right there or not, I think that needs to be dealt with as a retrospective sense. I think what we need to do is get it repaired and get it to where you or me or anyone else does not wind up having to take questions about why that's still not fixed out there. And that's where I think we need to go and how we need to go about it.
Mayor, I've got a question in that frame going forward, because I've gotten, and I think as the rest of the council members have, several emails from citizens in Russellville concerned about, you know, those crosswalks and how we're going to make sure that we don't have to come back and do this again. I guess my question would be, we have a proposed fix, but has there been a engineering analysis done to give the council confidence that this is indeed going to fix the issue? That's my concern. If there has been no analysis, if there has been no design done, and this proposed fix hasn't been evaluated, then I'm not convinced that we're not going to be back here in 6 months to a year looking at this issue again.
I would like to say simply about that, and I'm going to ask Mr. Oakes if he will step up in regard to that. As far as how this was proposed to be done, was at the recommendation of the Arkansas Highway and Transportation Department. And this is the way that they make their repairs. And to say that some other separate analysis has been made, no. This is on their highway. This is what they recommend that we do. This is what they told us we should do. And, I mean, we could possibly get some other analysis if we wanted to add to the cost of this project.
Well, I think the cost is really an issue of are we going to have to come back and redo this again? There's businesses that are affected when we obviously do this maintenance on the roads. And,
our District 8 engineer, in his wisdom, believes that we will not have to come back. This is the process that they use not only throughout Arkansas, but many states across the country in handling this specific type of situation.
What process are we using?
What we're talking about is using early strength concrete dialed in the area that has been cut out, and then filling the entire area with that concrete, and a stamped process that will have the same appearance of the brick pavers across Main Street there.
Of course, here, it hadn't been long ago, we was talking about whether we was stamping concrete or putting the pavers back.
That is correct.
And something else, on February the 6th at a department head meeting, it was estimated that repair was going to cost $25,000. And now here, several weeks later, it's up to $42,000.
That proposal and that cost in that regard was not what we're talking about, what I just told you. That was what we were talking about on the short end of that, just in the particular area of the cut.
Governor, this is, as you said a few minutes ago, State Highway and the Highway Department. I don't know whether they make recommendations and mandates, but they've been involved in this project from the beginning.
Yes, they have.
Did the District 8 engineer did he make the recommendation to use the Class 7 route?
That I couldn't tell you. I don't know. You would have to address that.
The Highway Department engineer made that recommendation? Okay, but a Highway Department engineer? Okay. So a Highway Department engineer made that recommendation, and so now the resident engineer, Highway Department engineer, has recommended this fix. I don't know what it hurts for us to obtain the services of an engineer of the City Council's choice to review this and take a look at it before we spend this money. Obviously, the first recommendation by the Highway Department engineer was a failure. I kind of feel like Mr. Harris. I'd like to be confident that it's going to work, and my confidence would be boosted, I think, by an engineer who made a living in the world and whose ability to make a living relied upon his reputation and his production as a professional.
Mr. Oakes.
No.
Well, of course, anything you decide is fine, but let's be clear about one thing. I've been doing field changes to construction contracts for about 40 years. I've never heard of anyone getting an engineering analysis to do any field change in all that 40 years, both in the Navy, with other governments, and up till now, here. The resident engineer and a couple of others of us looked at the problem that we had. And one thing that I mentioned to you before, and I don't think you fully appreciate, I make decisions like this often, and I don't go out and spend the most money possible. I mean, I could do every field change and pay 3 times what I think is going to make it work every time to be absolutely, positively, fail-safe, sure every time. Well, our track record here indicates that most of those decisions, when we make these kinds of decisions, do work out. They didn't in this case. So remember that part of my task is to try to get the job done well, with high quality, within budget, or as close to the budget as possible. I've had occasion to come and ask you for money before, like this time, and get a lot of serious questions about it, so I needed to be able to defend them. Now, here's my point. We talked about less money because we talked about a range of options that we felt would work. We still, looking back on it, the decision we made was one that works in similar situations and has worked in similar situations. We've all seen it happen, but it didn't work in this situation. We looked at some stronger options that would still cost less money. But there's been a strong demand. Let's get this done. Let's get it done this time. Let's don't go back. So I don't want to say overkill, but 16 inches of concrete next to 8 inches of concrete is stout. It's connected with rebars every 16 inches on both sides. I don't know anyone that doesn't think it's going to be the strongest section of Main Street when we get it done. Now, again, if you want an engineering analysis, no problem. We'll get this thing scheduled after you get that done, and we'll do whatever they recommend. That'll be fine. It takes a lot of pressure off of those of us making decisions. But I wanted you to know this initially happened with the help of other engineers, because we all do our job in a sense of, let's try to get it done with the least money, with the highest probability of getting it done. And we thought that was going to work. And in this case, it didn't. But it works most of the time. So now we're before you asking for considerably more money. We could have asked for, and now looking back, sure wish we had when we first noted the problem. I sure wish we'd gone in with 16 inches of concrete in the first place, because we wouldn't be having any of these discussions. But we were trying to stay within budget and very close to budget. So with that understanding, I ask that you not take a look at the resident engineer or anybody else in this process and say, well, they failed somehow. And I'm going to say this, I mentioned this to somebody else earlier, just so you'll know. Since I've been here, I've put $17 million into the ground. My change order rate is 1.46% today, sir. So, yeah, this is one that's counting against me in that 1.46%. But I make these decisions all the time, and my change order overrun rate is 1.46%. National averages run about 7%. Local averages run about 3.4%. So just so you'll know, I'm as regretful as anybody. I wish it had worked. But we were trying to do a smart, practical way that our judgment shows us has worked over and over again for the least amount of money.
Mr. Oaks.
Didn't work. So now let's spend a lot of money.
Let me just say that I do appreciate everything you do, and I'm not challenging or questioning your skills and ability, because I know that you do a lot of good for the city. I guess where I'm coming from is these crosswalks are right in the main thoroughfare of our city. They're honestly an embarrassment to the city, and I think everyone here acknowledges that. I was in a recent meeting with all the county judges, and they were ribbing the Polk County judge about our potholes in the middle of downtown. So I say that because, you know, we didn't get it right the first time. Let's make sure we get it right the second time. That's the only thing that I'm saying.
I agree completely.
In this particular case, since it's very visible to the community, it's very visible to those people who travel through Russellville. It's become a sore spot for the citizens of Russellville. let's just do the extra step to make sure it's done right this time.
Exactly.
And I'm not asking you to change your processes and
Exactly.
the way you do business, because it's been very effective. But in this case, I feel like we just need to take a little bit extra step to make sure it's done right.
And let's make sure that, you know, I agree with what Mr. Harris says, and I've got complete confidence in your ability, but I want to make sure that everybody understands this. This is a town of 27,000, give or take, plus or minus people who have entrusted 8 people sitting up here to spend their money. And I spent a substantial amount of time in commercial construction, and I can tell you without doubt that the plan changes the first time contact's made, and I understand that completely. However, we represent the public, and the citizens of Russellville, Arkansas, are going to get. They're going to receive a plan that we believe has the highest probability of working and gives us the greatest amount of confidence. And that is what we are. That is what we're charged to do. And
Gentlemen,
I think that's what we're going to do.
where are we with this?
Mayor, this is where I'm at on this. My question, Mr. Oaks, is not that I second guess you, because that's not what I'm doing, but on behalf of the residents, what is our guarantee that this proposed fix will work? Where is the guarantee in it?
Mr. Tripp, I don't know that you're going to get a guarantee.
It's a guarantee.
There is,
Well, Mayor, I believe that you can get a guarantee, and that's what Mr. Irwin and Mr. Harris have been proposing. We can have someone design this and put their stamp on it, and I believe at that point in time, if we follow their design and or have them administer the contract, they are responsible if it fails. Mr. Harris, am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
well, where are we? Are we going to continue to whirl this around tonight, or are we going to move on?
Well, we're in the discussion phase. The Finance Committee has recommended that we appropriate, or at least budget, the $42,000. But it's up to the full council now. That is the motion, unless somebody wants to
Okay, that is your motion.
change it.
And Mayor, at this $42,000 fix, still to date, correct me if I'm wrong, as per the original contract states, there has still not been soil tests done, and there were not compaction tests done on this. Is that correct?
I can't answer that
Can
question.
we get an answer to it?
Mr. Oaks?
We did compaction, we've done no soil exploration.
Okay. Okay.
Nobody ever does when it's written in a
We
contract?
don't do that on roads.
Okay.
You do it on bridges, you do it on nuclear reactors, you don't do it on roads. It's a waste of money, unless you do every square foot. So you can't guarantee that you're gonna find that one sore spot. See, this whole project is not all sore spots, we just got some of them, and obviously it's the one failure. But you might not have found it if you've done soil exploration ahead of time. So,
But there was compaction test done,
sure,
a written and documented compaction test.
I don't know if it's written or not, but it's done, it was observed.
Well, I'm inclined to budget this $42,000, but just for the record, I'd go $142,000 if it would get a fix that fixes this. If this goes bad because we wanted the cheapest way out,
This is not, this is
then our,
the expensive way out, but it is the way out.
I'm not suggesting that we just throw money at it. What I'm saying is I've heard it mentioned in 2 different budget meetings that this was the least expensive way to fix it. And I'm hoping that that is not the main criteria that we use to decide that this is what you wanted to do. But you've asked for $42,000. The Finance Committee recommended it. I think we've had enough discussion. It's time to move on. What does the council wish to do?
That was your motion.
That's my motion.
All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Mayor, I'm not sure I understand what the motion is.
The motion is to budget the $42,000 The Finance Committee does not make any recommendation about further processing of how we're going to spend it, just that we budget the money.
Who makes that decision?
We'll make that decision as a department and
Once we-
myself. Now,
So-
we can have, we
I'd
can.
ma- I'd
we
amend the
can
motion.
have
I'd,
some-
I'd make an amended motion to table this item for a month.
I'd second that.
We have a motion and a second to table this.
We
Motion
can,
and a
we can,
second.
we can do that. But now, we've already made some commitments at request of not just me, but some of you all about getting this completed downtown and getting it taken care of so we don't continue to draw this thing out. I'm just
understand
saying
that, but
that
it-
if we do this, the people that have been advised that, we're going to try to get this done by a certain period of time, may not get that done. As long as you are aware of that and are comfortable with answering those questions, that's fine with me.
Unless the highway department has given us a deadline, a drop dead date by which to
They,
get this done.
they have asked us to get this done during spring break.
Okay, well,
Mayor, we
Here's
just
the thing
appropriated
is that-
$82,000 just a few minutes ago that can be used to a service to start this process of getting this design or getting this approved or getting this guaranteed. We just did that a few minutes ago. The money's in the budget now. It can be utilized to bring something before us on paper to show us that this will work.
We have an amended motion and a second.
I just clarify, you don't need to do amend, it's either postpone, it needs to be a postpone definitely till next month. They don't
that's
have
my
to.
amendment, that's my motion was postponed definitely till
Right,
next
there's,
month.
don't need to mention that's
Okay, okay.
just a small,
You're
just for
right, you're
notes.
right, sorry. Motion to postpone.
Second.
There you go.
We've got a motion and a second to postpone.
All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes, call the roll, Ms. Collins, please. Thank you.
Mr. Martin Irwin,
Yes.
Mr. Tribb,
Yes.
Mr. Seth Irwin,
No.
Mr. Stuber,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
No.
Mr. Richard Harris.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right.
Item D, Mr. Mayor, is a $3,000 expenditure for district court costs for maintenance and supplies. Finance Committee recommends that in the form of a motion.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Item E, $6,541 for Parks and Rec. And the Finance Committee recommended that for passage in the form of a motion.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right.
Next item is consideration of an ordinance waiving our competitive bidding process for janitorial services for the Russellville Police Department. There are some just security concerns with allowing people access to parts of the building that would need to be cleaned. The Finance Committee believes that's a reasonable ordinance, and we recommend that now in the form of a motion.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Do we need a motion to approve, emergency clause, Your Honor?
We need
Procedurally,
to-
Mr. Smith, I'm not sure how, an ordinance is normally 3 readings.
That's correct, unless you suspend the rules, and it's got to be read
Okay.
before you.
Make a motion to reconsider.
I got ahead of myself. I was thinking this was an appropriation ordinance again, rather than an ordinary ordinance. So, okay. Let's
Chief, is this,
begin again.
Is this something that's going to be a problem if we do 3 readings on it or some other action?
How about this? We can withdraw this, can't we?
Can we suspend the rules as
Well,
part of
we
our
can,
motion?
we can,
want.
Yeah.
Can we have some discussion on it?
Needs to be, let's just,
first of all.
to
we-
reconsider, okay?
Motion to reconsider.
Yeah,
Second.
Okay.
all right.
All right.
All those in favor of reconsidering, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, now,
Your Honor, a motion to suspend the rules and read one time by title only with a short explanation.
I'll second that.
Now it's
Now discussion?
yes.
Yes.
It was, what my understanding was that everybody would have to go through security checks or background checks.
If we change,
and
yes.
the expense of that, and that was the reasoning behind just hiring back the same.
Well, because there's already a clean service in place that for the same amount of money, they have already been, the personnel that clean the police department have already been background checked, and rebidding could present with the police department the requirement to do background checks on everybody else. There's no guarantee that that's going to be a one-time deal, and so the possibility exists that there's a substantial period of time that the police department doesn't have any janitorial services. They have one now that has very reasonably priced, does a good job, and everybody is clear.
What's the length of the
Chief, do you have anything you want to say? Okay.
What's the length of the?
1 year normally.
Is that the
Any
length of
other
the
discussion?
Contract is a year? And how many employees are staffed in that to clean the RPD? Do you know what the janitorial staff, how big that staff is, how large it is?
Well, there's a pool of them to pull from, but currently there's 4 that's been approved to work in our facility that's had the background checks completed.
And how long does this waiver persist?
What waiver?
If we consider an order.
For this contract.
Oh, 1 year.
For the duration of this budget season,
1 year.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Motion to approve.
Got to read it first here.
Ordinance waiving compatibility, allowing the Russellville Police Department to employ the current janitorial service, accepting a quote from the Russell Janitorial for the purposes. This ordinance, if passed, would waive the bidding requirement that's set out by state law in excess of $20,000, and allow Russell Janitorial, which is current employee at RPD, to continue to be employed to do janitorial service to that department, and it waives the bidding. This ordinance would waive that bidding requirement.
Now,
Motion to approve.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Mr. Mayor, we met again tonight.
One more.
Call the roll?
Yeah, we need to,
I'm sorry.
that's all right.
Mr. Martin Irwin,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Tripp,
Yes.
Mr. Stuber,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Richard Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Seth Irwin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Motion to approve emergency clause.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the emergency clause. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Mr. Martin Irwin,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Tripp,
Yes.
Mr. Stuber,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Richard Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Seth Irwin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next item, Personnel Committee.
Mayor, we have one item.
Excuse me.
We've got finance from tonight also.
Okay, that's, excuse me. Trying to move
We got a
things
couple of
along.
items from tonight's finance
Oh,
meeting.
okay, I'm sorry.
We actually have two items, three different items on two different lines. Let's go items 1A and B, $2,000 from the capital building fund or the repair and maintenance fund to resurface the floor of the Hughes Center, and $19,402 for compensation pay, overtime pay. $1,942. Yeah. Finance Committee recommends those in the form of a motion.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Item 2 is an appropriation, a pass-through of $4,300 for the bicycle rodeo. It's a grant that the police department received. Finance Committee recommends that in the form of a motion.
You've heard the recommended motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Mayor, that's all we have.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. Now, Mr. Stuber.
Okay, Mayor, we have one item on the agenda pertaining to comp time, and it's explained back here behind your committee reports, and I would move to suspend the rules and read one time by title only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on an ordinance for the personnel policy manual to read one time, suspend the rules, read one time by title only with short explanation. All those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Ordinance being sections of the City of Russell Personnel Policy Manual for their purposes. This ordinance, if passed, would amend the current personnel policy manual for the City of Russellville, which is approved in ordinance number 2091. It would amend it on page 79 concerning the subject of comp time.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Martin Irwin,
Yes.
Mr. Stuber,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Richard Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Seth Irwin,
Yes.
Mr. Tripp.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Mr. Stuber, was there any urgency in that you're aware of?
Tracy, is there any urgency in that? No.
Okay, thank you. Unfinished business, number 1.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to postpone definitely until next month.
Second that.
Those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Unfinished number 2, consideration of an ordinance amending the zoning code for the City of Russellville, recommended by the Planning Commission. This is the third reading.
Motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
Second.
We have a second on that? Okay. Any other discussion?
I thought we was taking the time limit out on that.
Just a portion for,
Just a portion?
I think, well, isn't that what we did? 25% of the capacity
Yeah,
didn't
I
have a
think-
time limit.
I think that's what,
That's
Is that what we did?
That's what the ordinance
That's
says.
what's in there, yeah.
25%,
That's what we finally agreed
and the
on.
remaining 75% has to move out in 60
Fixed
days.
that up pretty hard.
What's that?
Okay, if that's what we decide on,
okay.
It's in there, isn't it?
yeah, that's what's in there.
Yeah, we had two versions at one time.
Yeah, that's not the right, that's not the version that I brought back.
Yeah,
that I
that's what I
proposed.
was thinking.
What's
I
that?
thought it was.
This is less one I'm talking.
Who's on first?
Yeah.
I may be,
Was your Was your understanding, Mr. Smith, as Mr. Stuber indicated?
It was, but what I seem to remember is there was two at one time, and that Alderman Tripp had one that I believe the council was reading, and that was the one that I believe was the one that should be in the packet.
Is this the latest one that I received?
I don't think so. I think this one, I think,
this is-
I think,
we
like
had
I'm saying,
another-
I think this is correct.
No, it's not.
Well, disagree.
If I may, counsel, Mr. Harris, I hate to put you on the spot, but what is your recollection from that meeting? I know you have bounced this thing around for months now, so.
I suggest you just let them do whatever they want to do and just, no. Well, I'll tell you, at the work session, the discussion went on for a long time, getting more and more lenient about the time limitations. And then when the actual meeting wound up, though, it bounced way back. I was puzzled at the time as to why, but when I made my amendments to it, I did exactly as I recalled it was discussed in the work session. And that's what I submitted however many months ago it was that it came back and started being reviewed. Now, if nobody read it back then and now they decide now that it's not what they thought it was,
Mayor, we discontinued reading the one from the staff, and I brought one back, and you had even made mention before the meeting that night in the break room in there that you had no objection to it. And that's where I brought one back. This is the third reading of it, should be the third reading of it. And Mr. Smith is correct. It was brought back with those changes, and maybe if we need to for clarification, why don't we table this?
Well, I can
clarify
pull
that before next month's meeting.
Well, I've got last month's. I can go pull last month's meeting, and I believe both of them were in there, or possibly both. Or I know yours was.
It'd be 2 months ago that we had two of them.
I can go pull it. That way, you wouldn't have to table it. I mean, we could.
I make a motion for the sake of time that we continue on, we table it and move on tonight.
Second that motion.
I didn't quite hear the motion.
Motion was to postpone definitely.
For clarification.
And we had a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm not even going to ask for opposition. Unfinished number 3. Consideration of a resolution to petition to annex property, a replat of Shadow Valley in Pope County. Mr. Smith.
This is just a resolution to accept the landowner petition that was, I believe, filed back in November of 2013. It was approved, I believe, in that December of 2013 by the Polk County County Court, and it's simply up for the council's consideration to either annex in or not.
This is a single lot we're talking about?
This is the single lot.
Yes, this was the request by the Sailors, and Ms. Sailors is here this evening. If I'm sure she is interested in this, and I don't know if she has any desire to make a statement or not. Jan, do you?
I would like to just say that the back south part of this property already shows the city. And we would very much like
As I recall from the agenda meeting we had last week, there was discussion about this issue, and there was a response by one of the council members that they would go out and petition that neighborhood to see if we could pull them all in at the same time.
That's new business 4.
I think the alderman's initials were Garland Stuber. Excuse me, Mr. Stuber, but
Here's the thing, I wouldn't be opposed at all to annexing your property as long as it was along with everyone else in that area who might like to be annexed into the city. Therefore, have you inquired of your neighbors whether or not they'd like to be annexed? Okay. I understand that, but, and frankly, you know, if we annexed you, you know, you'd be in Ward 4, which Mr. Stuber and I represent, which means that we'd have a brand-new voter, right, Stuber? But
It don't matter to me whether they
Hey.
vote or not.
see there, I just don't see any reason to annex one piece of property when there's another item on this agenda that deals with the possible annexation of additional property that are next to and would possibly include your property anyway.
My question is, what's the hassle? Why can't we approve hers and then go back and
Well, what if we don't, what if nothing else happens? Then we're gonna, and next month we get somebody that wants a single. I think it's a bad habit to get into.
Can we table this at this point, Mr. Smith?
Yes, I've looked at the statute, and as far as I can tell, there's no time limit of when you have to move on this.
I'd make a motion that we table this so that it stays active while we wait on new business 4 to be resolved. I believe what Mr. Stuber said was that if the council resolved to support this, that he would go out and try to get the necessary signatures on a petition. I'll help with that. I believe Mr. Martin Irwin said he would take some. And so I think new business 4 has a legitimate chance of passing. So on this one, my motion is that we table it for the time being.
You know, there is a process that we will have to go through, and
Right. I've pulled the last time a mass petition for annexation's gone through for the city, and I have that. And we have pretty much you could use that as a template, and then y'all could, once it's developed, then you and others could go and implement that. So I think we've got the ball rolling, I guess is what we're trying to say.
so as I understand it, we've had a motion. Was there a second to table this at this time until we consider that other item?
Martin Irwin,
I seconded it.
Okay. Ms. Saylors? At the present time, we may have more information to you later in this meeting. It may be next month. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank all those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? New business 1. Consideration of a resolution reaffirming local fire and police pension and relief board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? New business 2. Excuse me. Consideration of an ordinance to adopt the Fire Prevention Code 2012 edition and other volumes relative to the building permit procedure.
Motion to suspend the rules, read one time by title only.
Second.
I have a motion to suspend the rules and read by one time, but by title only. Read one time by title only. All those in favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Smith.
An ordinance adopting the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code 2012 edition, volumes 1, 2, and 3, providing for a penalty establishing that part needs to be scratched. There should not be a building permit procedure, and it should read, and for other purposes. This ordinance, if passed, would acknowledge that the 2012 Arkansas Fire Prevention Code is now in effect in the state, and that the city is currently going to adopt or will follow it, and will not adopt anything more stringent. It will also set out a fine for any type of code violations, and it authorizes the fire marshal, building official, and code enforcement officer to enforce the code.
Motion to adopt.
We have a motion to adopt. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Martin Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Seth Owen,
Yes.
Mr. Tripp,
Yes.
Mr. Stuber,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Richard Harris.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. New business 3, consideration of a resolution to issue a special use permit recommended by the Planning Commission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. New number 4, consideration of a resolution of the city's intent to support a petition regarding annexation.
I resolve to support it, Mr. Mayor, so I'll make a motion that we
Second.
approve.
Third.
We have a motion to support a petition as it is written here in the Huntington Cove area, but I'm assuming that from the discussion we had before, the other area and also where Ms. Saylor's property is located,
Yes, sir.
Shadow Valley.
which is
Cove,
Shadow
Shadow
Valley.
Valley.
It is
Shadow
stated,
Valley.
it is stated down in the resolution,
It's also
but it wasn't put on in your book in that manner. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was clear on that. So all those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed? New number 5.
Motion to table.
Second.
Have a motion to table number 5. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Motion to adjourn.
No, wait just a minute now, before we adjourn.
got a couple.
Mr. Harris, I'm not sure what,
Do we need to make a motion to allow the late agenda item?
yes.
I
And
move
then-
that.
Then we will allow you to say something, Mr. Harris, afterwards. You waited throughout this whole ordeal. So we do have a recommendation for a late agenda item. I need a motion so we can consider that.
I did that. I made the motion.
We have a motion and a second to consider a late agenda item. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Motion.
We have a late agenda item which relates to County Election Commission request to adjust the boundaries in some of our voting wards. And Mr. Smith has provided us an ordinance in regard to that. The Election Commission provided us some maps to indicate and show the area involved. And I think, as you can tell, it relates only to Ward 1 and Ward 2 and only a small area that will change out of Ward 1 into Ward 2. If anybody has any questions, we have 2 of the Election Commission folks here this evening, and you could, if you have any questions.
Motion to suspend the rules, read one time by title only with a short explanation.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion to suspend rules, and as you heard, all those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2117 to redistrict wards 1 and 2, the city of Russellville, Arkansas, to conform to Justice of Peace Quorum Court districts for their purposes. This ordinance, if passed, would redistrict awards to form to the JP districts so that reducing type of voter confusion. This 1 and 2 wards, just the new boundary between Highway 7 and North Glenwood would raise up north to where it would hit the what I've determined to be, the mayor determined to be the Pacific Union Pacific Railroad line, and that would be the only change to it, and take in that new area between Union Pacific, North Glenwood, Highway 7, and Main Street, Highway 64.
Yeah.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and second to adopt. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Now, as I understand it, there is an emergency that they need this done so they can meet some deadlines for their voting issues for the county and whatnot. So,
Motion to approve emergency clause.
All right, second.
so on the last vote,
Mr. Martin Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Horton.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Tripp.
Yes.
Mr. Stuber.
Yes.
Mr. Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Richard Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Seth Irwin.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion carries.
all right.
Now the emergency.
Now, we have a motion to adopt the emergency clause. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Martin Irwin.
Yes.
Mr. Horton.
Yes.
Mr. Tripp.
Yes.
Mr. Stuber.
Yes.
Mr. Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Richard Harris.
Yes.
Mr. Seth Irwin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, motion carries. Now, Mr. John Harris is asked to be given an opportunity to make a statement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Councilman. As y'all know, my role is board chairman of Main Street Russellville. I appreciate your efforts on repairs to the crosswalks. I left a few minutes ago without the circuit lock on my truck, and I said, oh, I need to go back. I don't know if I can even be recognized in the protocol here. We have a problem, which was, obviously no one wanted to have that problem on these crosswalks. There's a situation that we need to correct. And as almost all of you said tonight, we've had calls from citizens, probably merchants, about the crosswalk policy and what we're going to do about it. I don't know if there's any way to continue that discussion tonight, but if there could be some solution made before 30 more days down the road, I think we would be working for the citizens and for the merchants. And I just hate to see that tabled. I think there's some good suggestions that came tonight. We know it's going to probably be one of two different ways that we go to correct the problem. But is there any way to move forward with that tonight?
Well, I think, Mr. Harris, it's our intention to more than likely have a special meeting sometime in the very near future.
I'd love to do that.
And work
Mr.
something.
Harris, the money's in the Public Works budget now where if the desire of the council is to have a design drawn to show us, illustrate it, to guarantee it per se, as far as errors and omissions, insurance, on someone guaranteeing that to us, the money's there to where it can be started tomorrow.
Well, I think that's our intention, but I think it's also our intention to do what we think we need to do to ensure that the public's money is spent wisely. And I think that's exactly what we're going to do.
I agree with that 100%.
Thanks,
Motion
Mr.
to
Harris.
adjourn, Your Honor.
We are adjourned.